Good evening. We're going to call the meeting to order, and at the end of the pledge, we're going to have, please remain standing for a moment for a moment of silence for Warren Graham. Okay, please join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item today is going to be a memorial resolution for Warren Graham. Whereas Mr. Warren Graham served as a staff member of the Tri-Valley Central School District, and whereas Mr. Warren Graham exemplified extraordinary commitment to the students of the Tri-Valley Central School District, and whereas Mr. Warren Graham passed away on March 29th, 2023, be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its thanks to Mr. Warren Graham for his service, and be it resolved that the Tri-Valley Central School District extends its sympathy to the family of Mr. Warren Graham during this time of mourning. Thank you. Okay, we're going to have our usual board meeting comments. We thank you all for coming. We appreciate you taking the time to attend our meeting and welcome your comments. The Board of Education would like to remind community members that meetings are not public forums. Rather, they are business meetings held in public where dialogue is not normally conducted with audience members. If you would like to share your thoughts with the board, please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please understand we will not respond to your comments or questions at this time, but if you would like a response, please be sure to include your phone number or email address on the sign-in sheet by the door. Please note that public comments for items on the agenda will occur during the first comment section, and all other comments occurring during the second comment section. Comments should be in reference to a school topic or interest, not an individual or an employee position. Speakers are asked to be respectful, as we regularly have students attending these meetings as part of their coursework. Anyone who wishes to address the board, please step up to the podium, turn on the microphone so we can all hear your comments. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is item number 2 is correspondence. I don't believe we have anything. Moving on to item number 3 is public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda, and we have no one has signed up. Item number 4 is presentations and guests, and that is going to be a recognition of the valedictorian and salutatorian for 2023 given by Mrs. Erin Long.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am absolutely delighted to have our valedictorian and salutatorian here tonight. Our valedictorian for 22-23 is Thomas Hotaling. Thomas, would you stand up for us? Thomas, do you mind giving us a quick brief of what your plans are when you graduate? Excellent. Thank you. Congratulations. And our salutatorian is Noah Yuha. Noah, would you please stand up? And Noah, will you also share with us what your plans are after graduation? Excellent. Congratulations.
Okay, moving to item 5B is the Sullivan County BOCES budget vote. It is an action. Can I have a motion to accept the Sullivan County BOCES budget of $3,411,578.
Motion.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by George. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board cast its vote to approve the BOCES administrative budget for 2023-2024 in the amount of $3,411,578 as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Thank you. Okay, the next item is item C is the Sullivan County's BOCES board member vote. And we have a few of these, so we'll go through each one. It is an action, and the first one is board cast its ballot for a Ms. Jackie Rutledge. Can I have a motion to approve the candidate, Ms. Jackie Rutledge for BOCES?
Motion.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board cast its ballot for Ms. Jackie Rutledge, Sullivan West Central School District, new for a two-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the sole supervisory district of the County of Sullivan at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 25th, 2023. Item D is the ballot for Miss Carol Blyfernich from the Eldred School District. Can I have a motion to accept the ballot of Miss Carol Blyfernich?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Pat. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board cast its ballot for Mrs. Carol Blyfernich, Eldred Central School District incumbent for a three-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the sole supervisory district of the County of Sullivan at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 25th, 2023. Item E is a ballot for Mrs. Susan Horton from the Monticello School District. Can I have a motion to accept Miss Susan Horton's ballot?
So move.
Motion by George, second.
Second.
Second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. The board cast its ballot for Mrs. Susan Horton, Monticello Central School District incumbent for a three-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the sole supervisory district of the County of Sullivan at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 25th, 2023. Item F is going to be the ballot for Mr. Anthony Sinecor of Liberty Central School District. Can I have a motion to accept Mr. Sinicor's ballot?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board cast its ballot for Mr. Anthony Sinicor, Liberty Central School District incumbent for a 3-year term to fill a vacancy on the Board of Cooperative Educational Services of the sole supervisory district of the County of Sullivan at the BOCES annual election to be held on April 25th, 2023. Moving along to item number 6 is items that the board wants pulled from tonight's agenda. Okay, move to item 7, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda items 7A through M?
Motion.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Rose. Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board approves the consent agenda. Recommended action, including the business portion, items 7A through M. Moving along to item number 8 is board committee reports. Anybody have anything? I know we have a policy meeting tomorrow, I believe. So we'll have something for next time. Okay, moving to item 9, old business. I don't think we have anything tonight on the agenda for that. Moving to item 10, public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. And we have a Ms. Rebecca Salvage. Please step up. Thank you for coming.
When I looked at the board policy on the school website, it said that I had 5 minutes, so I prepared a 5-minute speech. I'm requesting that I'm able to read the whole thing.
Sure.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Salvage. I'm here with my husband Aaron tonight to address school safety concerns at Tri-Valley. I've been dropping off and picking up my children for almost 2.5 years now. And over the last few months, I've become increasingly alarmed by the lack of security at our district. This Thursday, 4/20, at approximately 7:25 a.m., I was dropping my elementary-age children off at school when I noted there was no SRO or security guard at the elementary entrance. Then as I drove out of the bus loop, I also noted that the high school cafeteria door was propped open with no adult in sight. These observations prompted me to action. I have since spoken with the superintendent via phone call, and I've also emailed a letter to the superintendent and board members. So that it is public record, my main concerns are as follows. 1, in the beginning of this school year and last school year, there was always a security guard directing traffic at the main gate in the morning and around 2 p.m. and continuing through parent pickup. Now a guard will sporadically stand to the side of the main crosswalk in the mornings. They are never directing traffic, and they are not present at all in the afternoons. When the guard was present starting at 2 p.m. in the main crosswalk, 2 things happened. 1, he stopped every car entering the school and asked where they were going. He prevented confusion for parents who had never picked up their kids from school and directed them to the appropriate spot. Since this job is no longer done, cars have entered the bus loop bypassing the pickup line completely. He also directed traffic so as to ensure the safety of children crossing to and from the track for afternoon gym classes, as well as after-school sports. Now no one does this. Number 3, who protects the children at the track when there is a line of cars with unknown occupants starting around 2 p.m. for pickup? Those children and staff members are completely isolated without a security guard being in that crosswalk. The cars and buses block the line of sight from the admin building to the track as well. If, God forbid, someone with malintent would approach them, How long would it take a security guard to reach them from inside the school building? I've been to the school midday to sign my children out at the same time as bear break and deliveries to the school occur. I have stood outside and chatted up the milk delivery driver and other parents, everyone coming and going as they please, on more than one occasion as children ran around the pavement outside. Not a single security guard was in sight. In years prior, I was always screened at the gate to see why I was driving into the school. I assumed that was to protect the children playing outdoors. Is this no longer needed? When I spoke with Ms. Long, she mentioned that the SRO was at training last Thursday and that's why no one was outside. Do we know an SRO's schedule beforehand? Do they communicate that schedule to the security team so appropriate accommodations can be made? How can we improve communication so the children and staff are not vulnerable in his absence? Ms. Long also mentioned that the security guard who took care of main gate security for the last 2 years has since moved to nights, coinciding with no one taking his place or assuming his duties. Why is no one assuming his prior responsibilities? And lastly, school security seems to start later than student drop-off. It is rare that all security guards are in position at the time I'm dropping my children off. Many times, one or more guards are usually en route to their posts while I'm exiting the grounds. Now, just so we're clear, things weren't always like this, which is what makes the current state so disturbing. At the beginning of the year and years prior, I was stopped at the main gate every time I tried to enter. The security guard had a paper with the names of all parents expected at the gate for one reason or another. I chaperoned a field trip. The first person I met was the same security guard, who again crossed my name off a list and ushered me to a specific outdoor waiting area. I also want to share a specific incident that occurred with yet again the same wonderful security guard. I was driving my kids to school one morning, and I had just turned on to 55 in Neversink when I noticed a car behind me driving erratically. I kept watching in my rearview mirror as the car swerved, crossed the double line many times, and almost caused a head-on collision by Dollar General. I was terrified that this person was going to rear-end me, with my kids in the car. I told myself if this car pulled onto Moore Hill Road, I was going to stop and tell the security guard at the crosswalk. And they did, and I stopped to tell the guard. But that's not the point of my story. The point of my story is that as I was talking to the guard, he saw with his own eyes the car swerve into the opposite side of the road and almost head up that bank. He radioed ahead, and by the time I unloaded my children from the car, the building principal and the SRO were outside and approaching that driver. Now, I don't know what was going on with the driver. It could have been a medical emergency, or it could have been something more sinister. The point is that had the guard not been there to witness what I saw, what could have happened? I left the school that day feeling like it was a safe place for my children. Had he not been at that crosswalk, I don't think I would have dropped them off. According to Board Policy 8130, a formal district-wide safety plan exists that the board approved. Does this plan cover school grounds, or does it just pertain to inside the building? You wouldn't let an unidentified stranger enter a classroom, but yet unchecked cars enter the school grounds all day long with classes of kids playing outside. How do you justify the different standards for indoor and outdoor security? It truly appears that one of two things has happened. Either a sufficient safety plan exists and has not been followed, or it exists and is grossly inadequate. I should note that since bringing these concerns to light, observable safety changes have already been made at the school, proving that my concerns have merit, and the administration is currently working to increase safety measures. But the question remains, what happened these last few months to get us to this point? It was hard to come up here tonight. Small towns talk, and I'd rather not be the person everyone is talking about. I've already had one angry person tell me how disappointed she was in me for speaking up, how I needed to give security a break because they were doing the best they could. But then I looked at my 2 children, whose hearts are bigger than their little bodies. My daughter, who came home yesterday to make a Getting to Know You bracelet, and when I asked her what that is, she said it was for the new student in her class so she could get to know him better. She's the girl who scored in the 99th percentile in reading on her MAPS testing, whose curiosity and desire to learn inspire me every day. And my son, who doesn't just want to study ocean animals, he wants to be an ocean animal, the orca, because it's the most ferocious and cunning animal of the sea. He spends every waking moment creating his own art projects, and he stops me in my tracks on the rare times I catch him singing. I would do anything for these two, even stand up here and ask you to do better. As anyone who has met them can attest, we are doing our part to raise kind and respectful kids. Please do yours and keep them safe. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, moving to item 11, announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Ms. Williams, would you like to?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Just an update on what's been happening in the elementary school. We finished up our day 2 administration of the New York State ELA exams. We had a little bit of an issue with the New York State testing portal yesterday, where our students in grades 3 and 4 were prepared to take their day 2 exam when we received the message that New York State was having some trouble with their system. The elementary school took the opportunity to give the students a day off, which they did cheer about when they heard that they would not have to take their test yesterday. But they did finish, and they were able to finish up that exam today. Students in grades 5 and 6 had already finished their exams. So at this point, we have a few makeups to do, and those will take place tomorrow through Friday. Beginning on May 2nd, which is already Tuesday, we will go ahead with our New York State math exam for students in grades 3 through 6. So we're looking forward to finishing up that testing period. And next on our list will be our sneaker night. So our students will be able to finish off this week with their second sneaker night. We were able to finally get one in this school year. I would have to say it was a great success. We certainly appreciate Mrs. Gray and all the other volunteers who helped to make that night so great. In addition to our sneaker night that's happening, we also have our field trips that have started. And our field trips, some of them are taking place in-house, while the students will be traveling out. We certainly have systems in place to ensure that while students are off campus at all of those field trips, that any chaperone that has signed up is properly vetted through our system that we have in the office. When parents do arrive to chaperone those field trips, they're asked to check in one at a time. There's a security officer at the main entrance, and then the parent, once they are signed in, they're asked to wait outside of the building until the students exit to board those buses. For the in-house field trips, whoever the presenters are, again, they are vetted, and upon entering the building, they too have to submit their New York State identification so that we can be sure that whoever we have in the building is appropriate to be with our students. Speaking of that, this Thursday, we have a falconer coming in. He's going to be bringing an array of birds that he has trained. We've prepared Carlton for any mess that may take place. But the students are very excited, and it's an opportunity for our 4th grade students to be able to have that be part of the curriculum that they've learned this year, which is the study of birds. Looking ahead once more, we do have our DARE graduation, which will be taking place on May 19th. The RSVP for that for our students in 5th grade. Our DARE is for our 5th grade students. That RSVP will be going out by the end of the week so that everybody can reserve that date for the presentation. And then, as always, a really lovely day. We have essay winners as well as slideshow PowerPoints that were presented, and the students have the opportunity to share their experiences with anybody who joins us on that day. Thank you.
If I may ask you a question, was that mix up on us or was it on the state in regards to the link?
So the ELA New York State exam, we had a success administering it for grades 5 and 6, particularly on Monday, which was the day 2 of grades 3 and 4. It was a New York State issue. It was nothing on our technical side. In fact, our technical support here at school, they were diligent. They immediately got on it. We had one technician of ours on the phone with New York State, as well as another one of our tech department personnel on the computer trying to chat with New York State. The issue was not us.
Were we the only school?
We were not. In fact, this impacted many schools throughout New York State.
I'm sure these kids knew that this was coming. I'm sure it was trying for them, even though they were young. But where's the accountability with the state?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George, I will add it to that. So when computer-based testing came into our labs a few years ago, there were many glitches with New York State. And at one point, the entire state shut down because most kids, which is 700 school districts, logged in at the same time. And so it almost blew a fuse on their whole system. So Questar is our testing platform. And this was all across New York State, this glitch. But as part of my report, I want to dovetail on what Ms. Williams is saying. Our tech department and our staff and our students handled it very well. Right on it, very patient, business as usual. But, you know, we are at the hands of the state, and these things do happen.
No, I understand that. I wasn't referring to our own school district. I'm sure they were on it right away. But, you know, if it's happened before, they should have been aware of it, and they should take care of it.
I agree.
Is there anyone else who has something? Ms. Toomey?
Good evening. I'm just going to expand upon all of that on the secondary level a little bit. Last weekend, we gave our students a prom to remember as they drove through a little hail to get to the prom, had a tornado warning, got to check out the basement of the Villaroba clubhouse. Everybody was safe, everybody was fine, but they will definitely remember their prom. Following the tornado warning, everything was beautiful at the prom. I think all of the kids had a great time, and it was a successful evening. We've just ended our third marking period. Our teachers are now working on some academic support and some Regents review just to prepare for final exams now. Guidance is working on the master schedule for next year, and we have scholarship information that's going out to parents and students. We are also in the middle of testing. It's testing season around here. So our 7th and 8th graders were able to complete the ELA exams. We now have 9th and 10th graders who are in the middle of their NWEA exams. They did the ELA today. They have math tomorrow. And this blends into more testing for next week when our 7th and 8th graders will also be doing the math exams beginning on Tuesday. We have an AP computer science exam coming up. We have 7th and 8th grade NWEAs, New York State science testing later on in the month of May and in the beginning of June. And then we roll right into Regents exams with our first Regents exam being on June 1st, which is earlier than usual. That's the U.S. history exam, and it's the first one they're giving, which is why they're giving it a couple weeks earlier. The rest of the exams don't start until June 14th. We have NYSSMA Solo Festival going on this coming weekend on April 28th and 29th. We'll be hosting that. And as you look around the building, you'll probably see signs that will be directing kids and music teachers to specific rooms. So that's because we're prepared to host that this weekend. We also have 7th and 8th grade third quarter an award ceremony that will be on Monday, May 8th. That date was just changed about an hour or so ago from the 4th to the 8th because of all of the testing that we have going on. That award ceremony will be happening in the theater on Monday at 10:15 if anyone is interested in attending. I'm also going to ask you to mark your calendars because we have our annual FAA plant sale coming up. I know that's a pretty popular event. That will be happening May 9th through the 12th, 9th through the 13th, actually. Saturday, they do have a session in the morning. And usually the plants are beautiful, low priced, and they sell out. So mark your calendar if you'd like to attend that. We also have many field trips that are coming up during the month of May. We have computer science classes going, 7th and 8th grade classes. FFA is doing a convention. The senior class is finalizing their plans for their senior trip. So it's very busy with that. Our 7th grade has been participating in a Single Bite series that's being sponsored partially by the Wellness Committee. They've already done their first session out of 4 there, and they go on another field trip on Friday. So there are 2 upcoming field trips and another classroom visit where we have Chef Jean Peen Medina, who came in last week and presented to the kids, talked about healthy food choices, and is planning on coming back again on May 12th. So we also have a lot that's going on, and it's going to be busy in the secondary school as well.
Thank you, Ms. Simi.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from over there? Okay. So my apologies. I seem to have skipped over our superintendent's report, so take it away.
Well, everyone is, we seem to be on the same page this evening. And really a wonderful congratulations to everyone that has made the last few weeks, again, just so busy and so fun. The 5th graders through 8th graders put on a fantastic variety show last weekend. The prom was with a tornado warning. It was pouring rain. It was hysterical, but boy, the kids are troopers, and they served hors d'oeuvres downstairs in the basement, and it was like nothing happened. So it was a really great evening. I also want to share with our community that Dr. Dufour, who is the district superintendent for Sullivan County BOCES, was recently part of a Blue Ribbon Commission on graduation and career and tech education, and he nominated a school in Sullivan County to be visited by the Blue Ribbon Commission, and he nominated Tri-Valley. So the state will be here the week of May 8th to visit our career and tech program, specifically our agricultural program. So as soon as they confirm with me, I will let everyone know, but I think it will be an absolute wonderful spotlight for us to have the state here to see the great work that we do. On Thursday, May 4th, from 5 to 6 p.m. in the lower library, I will host another Tri-Valley Table Talk. So the community is welcome to attend. We'll be focused on our community schools program with a little information about what we're planning for our August back to school event, as well as any budget information that our community may have before our vote. And check your mailboxes. Our budget newsletter is hot off the press and in the mail, and it is a revamped newsletter. So we're very interested to see how everyone feels about it. We're very proud of it. Anything? And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Long. Moving along to item 12, new business. We have item A is the property tax report card 2023-2024 is in action. Can I have a motion to accept the property tax report card? Motion by Tim,
Second.
second by Pat. Any discussion?
One question, is that the Sam's report, something new? I have a few questions, and I'm sorry, this is new, I guess, to everybody this year. It's the first time we had to do this. Some questions on here. I have one. Do we have a reserve fund? Second reserve fund, especially for whatever it is in here. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Establishment of a New York State teachers' retirement contributions. Second one. Do we have a second one?
So, excuse me, this is not new. It's annual. It has changed a little bit in the past couple of years. It used to be very much aligned with the property tax cap report card, which is very similar, that goes out as a postcard to all voters. This report to the state incorporates your actual reserve dollars. If you look at it on the left-hand side, it was the March 31st dollars. Then they ask you how much you think you're going to have on June 30th. Then they want to know how much you're going to have the following, what you're going to use for the following year. Your question on retirement, other reserves, we don't have any other reserves than what's listed here. The reserve for, what was the one you just asked about, George? The teacher's retirement?
Yes. It specifically states that.
Right. So you have to be eligible to utilize that reserve. And we do not fall within the parameters of that. The eligibility, which we're a long way from, has to relate to the dollar levels that you contribute every year. It's basically designed for larger school districts that have a lot more contribution. And so we really don't apply for that.
It may not pertain here, but it does pertain to money coming into the district. What 80% did we get out of the recent bond?
Our building aid on the bond was 38 or 39%, one of those two.
Returnable when?
So at the conclusion of the building project, which I am highly hoping is August 31st of this year, once we have final cost completions, I have to do a final cost report and submit that to the state. That's when they will review and start allotting for building aid related to the project. My goal is to have that in by the end of October, November 1st, because there are deadlines. But you have to wait until your building project is done because it's your final cost report. That means that every incidental has been reported and recorded. Upon completion of that to the state of New York, the building aid which we will receive is about $340,000 annually for the next 15 years once it kicks in. My goal has been to make sure that the 24-25 school year is when that building aid will kick in. If you remember, we've seen a large drop in building aid because one of the projects from 2004 or 5 just finished their building aid last year, but most building aid is a 15-year payout.
Where does that go when we do get it back? Does it go into a bond fund or does it go into general?
Money goes into the general fund. If I could simplistically explain bonding and interest and how,
Quickly.
yes, because it is, you have to follow this through.
Yeah,
So bonds are received in the general fund initially. The bond is then transferred into the capital fund because it has specific expenses for that. So it's expensed out of there. The interest that we earn monthly on the money that's in there remains in the capital fund. And my expert people across the street have journal entries to do every month and at the end every year with our auditor. It's called a bunch of due to, due froms, where the money is situated back and forth between the general fund and the capital fund. Very similar happens in the federal fund every year. When you have interfund accounting, that's how it's done through due to, due froms. And great people, and my auditor is great to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's every year.
the question I would ask, I would hate to see us get in any situation like Monticello and Roscoe did. Are we online and submitting those questions that the state has?
So the big report came out. We all got an email in the state, and they listed the 17 schools that do not have final cost reports they have till April 30th to submit them because they're late. You have 18 months from the completion of your project. When you get substantial completion, which is reported to the state, you have 18 months to submit your final cost report. So that's what happened in some previous districts. There's a couple districts in the state right now that are in the same boat, but that clock has not started ticking until the final substantial completion is submitted to the state. That is done through our architect firm. So I'm hoping that they're submitting that in September because, the only way you get the aid is to submit the final cost report.
And we will be checking on them, make sure they're submitted.
That's my job.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board adopts the property tax report card for 2023 to 2024 as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Item 12B is the DCMO BOCES annual resolution, cooperative purchasing and generic for 2023-2024. Can I have a motion to accept the BOCES annual resolution?
Motion.
Motion by Rose, second.
Second.
Second by Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board approves the DCMO BOCES annual resolution, cooperative purchasing and generic for 2023-2024 as attached to the public portion of the agenda. Item 12C is appointment modified baseball coach 2022 to 2023. Can I have a motion to accept the Stephen Veeder as the modified baseball coach?
Motion.
Motion by Rose. Second.
Second.
Second by Pat. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board appoints Stephen Veeder as modified baseball coach for the 2022-2023 school year. Item 12D, appointment substitute monitor. It's an action. Be it going to be appointing Stephen Veeder to the position of substitute monitor 2022-2023. Can I have a motion to accept that appointment?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education at its April 25th, 2023 meeting approves the appointment of Stephen Veeder to the position of substitute monitor for 2022 to 2023, effective date to be determined. Item 12E, appointment substitute monitor, and that will be for Tammy Chibodi for a substitute monitor. Can I have a motion to accept that nomination?
Motion.
Motion by Tim. Second. Second. Can I have a second? Do I have a second?
I had a question.
Okay.
Is she still running for Board of Education? Okay, so is there a conflict of interest there?
Well, it's a substitute appointment. so. Is there a second? Okay. Going to move along to, we're going to move along to item 12F, appointment of monitor, Robin Gershowitz. Can I have a motion to accept the appointment for a substitute monitor, or a monitor, not a substitute, for Robin Gershowitz? Have a motion?
I'm on.
Motion by Tim. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Pat. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
Yes. That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education at its April 25th, 2023 meeting approves the probationary appointment of Robin Gershowitz to the position of monitor as per Sullivan County Civil Service Rules and Regulations, effective to be determined for a probationary period of 26 weeks. The salary for the 2022-2023 school year will be step 3 on the TESA monitor schedule. $18.70 per hour, 6.75 hours per day, 180 days per year, prorated. Thank you. Moving to item 12G, monitor appointment for Teresa Haig. Can I have a motion to accept the monitor appointment for Teresa Haig?
Motion.
Motion by George,
Second.
second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the Board of Education at its April 25th, 2023 meeting approves the probationary appointment of Teresa Haig to the position of monitor as per Sullivan County Civil Service Rules and Regulations, effective to be determined for a probationary period of 26 weeks. The salary for the 2022-2023 school year will be step 3 on the TESA monitor schedule. $18.70 per hour, 6.75 hours per day, 100 days per year, prorated. Next is item 12H, appointment monitor, and the person is Heather Shear. Can I have a motion to accept the appointment of Heather Shear to the monitor position?
Motion.
Motion by Randy,
Second.
second by Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the Board of Education at its April 25th, 2023 meeting approves the probationary appointment of Heather Shear to the position of monitor as per Sullivan County Civil Service Rules and Regulations, effective to be determined for a probationary period of 26 weeks pending fingerprint clearance. The salary for the 2022-2023 school year will be step 3 on the TESA monitor schedule, $18.70 per hour, 6.75 hours per day, 180 days per year, prorated. And we have another appointment as 12I is a student teacher. Can I have a motion to accept the appointment of Rebecca Reynolds as a student teacher?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Pat. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board appoints Rebecca Reynolds as a student teacher who will work with Danielle Markle in grade 2, September 5th through October 20th, 2023, and with Steve Buffington in grade 5, October 23rd through December 15th, 2023. Next item is item 12J, appointment clerical sub. It is an action, and the clerical sub is Kathy Smith. Can I have a motion to accept Kathy Smith as the clerical sub?
So move.
Motion.
Wait a minute, who's the motion?
So move.
George? Second? Randy? Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. It is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education appoints Kathy Smith to the position of clerical sub for the 2022-2023 school year. Salary is $31.50 per hour, effective April 1st, 2023. Item 12K, memorandum of agreement between Tri-Valley Central School District and the Tri-Valley Teachers Association. Can I have a motion to accept the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, between the TVCSD and the TVTA?
Motion.
Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Randy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board approves the memorandum of agreement between the Tri-Valley Central School District and the Tri-Valley Teachers Association for the time period April 20th, 2023 through close of business June 30th, 2023. Okay, our next item is item 13, is board comment section. And I'm going to start off with a couple of things that I have. Good news from my other board that I participate in is BOCES. Was informed tonight that the Center for Discovery has opened up 6 classrooms to handle students with disabilities for Sullivan County students. So that's going to take a lot of people off waiting lists for that need to be in the class. My other comment is going to be Tuesday, May 9th. We have our next meeting, and the new candidates for board member elections are going to have a chance to meet stand up, say a few words, and meet the community. We are going to allow that speech time to have a 10-minute limit, okay? So it'll be a little longer than it's been previously, but we only have a couple of candidates, so I think that will go a long way, and it's a nice gesture. So that will be Tuesday, May 9th, okay? So anyone who's in the audience is going to be up, it'll be 10 minutes. Okay, and that's all it is for me. Pat?
I'm good. Thank you.
Tim?
Shout out to the staff for the variety show, Snow White. Fantastic jobs. Kids are well prepared, very entertaining, and also for keeping our kids safe at the prom the other night. That was pretty crazy, but they did a great job. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Rose? George?
If I may, I have a couple of things. Security, I appreciate the people coming in and raising their concerns. I think it's something that we all are concerned about at every meeting. We talk about it. So it's not something that is going by the wayside, not with me anyway. So you see something, say something. I think we've heard that many times over the years, not just at school, but in general. The election minutes. I think that's a heck of a good gesture, because these people that's running for the board are telling who they are at a time that's very important, because the public needs to know who they are. And I think it's a very good gesture. I think it's a substantial improvement over last year's, because this year they know how long they have. Last year, the night of the meeting, I found out they only had 3 minutes, and I had an 8-minute speech. I didn't know until I got up there. So I really appreciate the president stepping up, and that's certainly a class act, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Randy? And Brent? Okay, at this time, we're going to be going into executive session. There'll be no further business being discussed, and we'll be going to executive session over a legal matter. Okay, so thank you all for coming. Have a great night. A motion?